And thank you for gathering here tonight for our annual Elul speech. There are a few thank yous in order. First and foremost, a massive thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Benny Ramenfar for spearheading the Elul speech every year, plus many other events. I think he thinks about this speech like by Hanukkah time. Thank you to Rabbi Ariel, Rabbi Aryeh, Rabbi Daniel Golfez for making tonight possible. Thank you to our sponsors, Mr. and Mrs. Ariel Afra, Mr. and Mrs. Moshe Afra, Mr. and Mrs. Eliel Ramenfar, Mr. and Mrs. Benny Ramenfar, Mr. and Mrs. Avner Schatz, Mr. and Mrs. Shmuel Lavi, Mr. and Mrs. Eliyahu Normand, Mr. and Mrs. Hodal Monzada, and Mama Himmel, Joey's mom. Not Rabbi. Last year we had the absolute honor of having Rabbi Haber, and we're back now for a second year. For those who don't know, Rabbi Haber is the Rav of Magen David in Flatbush, and is a well-known speaker. He speaks about a wide variety of issues like chinuch, shalom bayis, shidduchim, and the challenges of a society focused on materialism. He's personable, articulate, and impassioned. He has his finger squarely on the pulse of both the yeshiva community and Klal Yisrael at large. We're excited to hear a wonderful speech here tonight. Without further ado, Rabbi Joey Haber.
Rabbi, thank you very, very much for having me here tonight. Thank you very much for coming out tonight. It's a beautiful crowd of people. Thank you for the warm introduction. Thank you, Benny, for arranging all of it, every single detail that goes involved. Thank you, everyone that's behind it in the way that they've been behind it and involved. I very much appreciate So here we are. In only a few days, many of you will be standing in this same shul asking Hashem for a year of His beracha and His mercy. And we're going through the process, we go through it every year, where we want to change, we hope to change, we plan to change, and many of us don't change. And there's something that bothers me from year to year that I'd like to focus on tonight. Why is it that we make so many mistakes? We are good people. If you came out on a Sunday night and you came here to hear words of chizuk, you're obviously a good person. So if we're good people, why do we mess up so much? If we were bad people, I'd understand. We're bad people, so we speak Lashon Hara, we hurt other people, we do a lot of the wrong things. I understand it. Or if at least we didn't care, I'd also understand it. But no one in this room is bad, and no one in this room doesn't care. Every single person in this room is a good, caring person. So why every year at this time are we frustrated at ourselves? Why are we disappointed? Why do we look at ourselves and say, how is it possible that I did so much wrong, I wasted so much time, I didn't learn nearly as much as I should, I didn't pray the way I should, there's so much that I didn't do. Why do we do this? I'm going to try tonight to answer why this happens and what is the small shift that we can make that can make a dramatic difference in our results. It's a well-known Gemara, Masechet Baba Batra. I hope you've heard this Gemara before. but we're going to try to see in it new insights that maybe you've never thought of before. Amar Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Reb Yonatan. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani says in the name of Yonatan, Ma'adichti, what does Bazuk mean when it says, Al ken yomru hamoshlim bo cheshbon. The moshlim will say, the rulers will say, come to cheshbon. It literally means the Jewish people are traveling in the desert, and the rulers will say, come to the city of Cheshbon to conquer it. Says the Gemara, Hamoshlim, these rulers, Ela Hamoshlim biyitzram, we're referring to the rulers over the Yetzer Hara. Those people who control and rule over the Yetzer Hara. Bo Cheshbon, what does Bo Cheshbon mean? Bo nechashev cheshbonot shel olam. Come and make life calculations. What are these life calculations? What are these life-changing, earth-shattering calculations? Hefsed mitzvah keneged sechara. The loss of doing a mitzvah, evaluate the loss of doing a mitzvah against its gain. Uschar avera, and the gain of doing an avera, keneged hefseda, against its loss. Said Gemara concludes with the word tibaneh v'tikonen. Im ata oseket, if you do this and you make this calculation, tibaneh b'olam hazeh, you'll build in this world, v'tikonen l'olam haba, you'll establish yourself for the world to come. This is a classic Gemara that every Jew needs to know. That a Jew needs to make a cheshbon hanefesh. The moshlim, if you want to control your Yetzer Hara, you need to make a cheshbon. You need to make a cheshbon hanefesh. You need to calculate and evaluate yourself. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? What do I need to keep? And what do I need to change? But I have a number of questions on this Gemara, if that's all it means. My first question is that if we're talking about people that are fighting the Yetzer Hara, it should say, Al ken yomru halochmim, the battlers, the fighters. Why does it say hamoshlim, the rulers? We're not talking about rulers of countries here. We're talking about a simple person in a gunfight with the Yetzer Hara. My next question is, when I think of mitzvah, I always think of schar. I think of reward. Why does the Gemara say, hefsed mitzvah keneged sechara, the loss against the reward? Why does the Gemara initiate the talk about a mitzvah with its hefsed, with its loss? Since when is a mitzvah at all about any loss? And then my third question is the flip side. When I think about it, I think of onesh. What does it mean? Uschar avera keneged hefseda. And the reward of an avera. Since when is the reward of doing avera? Why do we ever think about or calculate a reward in avera? What does that mean? And finally, my fourth and final question is, I get that when you make a calculation, you set yourself up for the world to come. But tibaneh b'olam hazeh, what are you doing for this world? So 4 questions. Why are you calling us moshlim rulers? Why do we talk about the hefsed of a mitzvah? Why do we talk about the schar of an avera? And what am I doing for myself with all of this? Olam hazeh. So I'd like to answer this question. I believe society has convinced us. I don't know how they did it. I don't even know what I mean by society. But society somehow has convinced us. I don't know if society is the marketing industry. I don't know if society means the media or social media or technology. I don't know if society means the materialism or the abundance that we have. I don't know what I mean by society. But somehow society has convinced us to think very small. If we obsess over little things, that's the only way they can get us to buy it. So they tell us, think about it, talk about it, and this way you'll purchase it and purchase it. If they don't get you to debate and discuss something unimportant, there's no way you'll watch it. So they get you to debate it and discuss it, so that you're glued to watching it. If they can't get you to think about it, there's no way you'll chat about it. If they can't get you to obsess over it, there's no way you'll keep looking at it or keep talking about it. So what society has done, I don't know who it is. Like I said, I don't know if it's marketing, I don't know if it's media, I don't know if it's social media, I don't know who it is. But someone out there has gotten all of us to think and care about the littlest, least important things. And they got us to do it day in and day out, hour in and hour out. That's the shift. And we could shift out of thinking about small things and instead start thinking about big things, thinking about important things. Our life would be dramatically different. To explain this point, I'd like to share with you a pasuk. The pasuk says as follows: a man makes a path. Hanoten bayam darech. Someone who makes a path in the ocean. Ubemaim azim netiva. And in raging waters, also he makes a path. Question is, most people when they make a path, they don't make it in raging waters. You don't make a path in an ocean. You make a path in a forest. You make a path in a field. You make a path on a street. What do you mean? Hanotem bayam darech. So I'm going to give you a bunch of explanations. 4 to be exact. My 4th is my main one to make our point. But I'm sharing with you all 4 because each one of them is beautiful and powerful for the path you're trying to create right now. The first one is this. When you walk on the road, especially it's been raining lately. It's raining here in Baltimore. So when you walk on the road, you leave traces. You leave footmarks. But when a boat, even the biggest, largest ship, goes through the sea, once it passes, it leaves no trace. The same thing is true with your amonot, with your sins. If a person does real teshuvah, then there's no trace of the mistakes you made. If your teshuvah is done properly, done be'ahava, it's like a ship in the sea. Once you pass, it's gone. Answer number 2. I don't know what the streets are like in Baltimore. I don't think it's like Brooklyn. Is it like Brooklyn? No, that's why you live here, not there. You have nice streets, you have wide streets, not so nice, not so wide, in between. But no matter where you live, making a turn in the middle of the street is difficult. You have to make okay turns, oncoming traffic. Sometimes it's a one-way street, you're not even allowed to turn. But when it comes to making a turn in the ocean, it's easy. Make a nice wide turn, you come right back around. Teshuvah is like the path, not in the ground, not on the land, where making a turn is a tremendous difficulty. Rather, it's like a ship at sea, that it's easy to make the turn. So when you're making teshuvah, don't be scared, don't be intimidated. Hanotem bayam darech, if you make your path in the ocean, you can turn around easier than you think. The third answer is one I love very much. That a path on the road, what's the name of the street right outside of the shul? What's the name of the street? What's it called? Park Heights? Park Heights. Okay. Everyone who drives on Park Heights drives over the same foot. Everyone drives Park Heights up and down. It's the same 3 feet you're driving on. Your path in life is not like driving on a road where everyone's driving on the same path. Rather, it's like a path in the ocean. You know what happens when you make a path in the ocean? Your boat goes this way, my boat goes this way, the other one goes this way. When you're making your path in life, you don't have to look at everybody else's and live the same life as the person next to you. Hanotem bayam darech. Hashem says, make your path in the sea. Your path is different than his, different than his, different than hers, different than hers. Every single one of us has our own path. So the reason we're using the sea is because it leaves no trace, because it's easy to turn, and each one of us has our own journey in life. But my 4th answer is our point here tonight. Fourth answer is this. A street, no matter how big it is, whether it has 2 lanes or 5 lanes, it's limited. Maybe it's 50 feet. Maybe it's 100 feet wide. 6 lanes. It's 100 feet wide. It's limited. But the ocean is vast. The ocean is endless. You ever stand at the edge of the sea? It goes as far as your eyes can see. When you make your path in life, don't make a little path through the woods. Don't make a road on the street. Hanotem bayam darech. Make your path large. Make your path big. Make your journey in life so much bigger and so much more important. Let me try to explain what I mean a little better with a mashal. This mashal is from my son. Okay? So a few weeks ago, my son, my oldest son, he lives in Lakewood. I live in Brooklyn. He lives in Lakewood. He's married with a couple of kids. He's trying to reach me, and he's calling, and I'm not answering, Finally, he gets me on the phone. He said, Dad, I need to talk to you about something important for you. I said, listen, Mike, I don't have any time. I'm sorry. I'm running out to respond to people, text messages, I have calls, I have to call back to prepare shooting. I can't talk to you now. I said, okay. 2 days later, he gets me on the phone again. He said, Dad, can I talk to you? I said, you catch me in the middle of everything. I can't talk right now. So on Shabbat, he comes to my house for Shabbat, and my walk from my house to shul was a mile. We're walking to shul together. He says to me, Dad, can I give you a mashal? I said, whose mashal is this? He says, it's mine. He says, you're giving me a mashal? I said, it usually goes the other way around. He says, yeah, I have a mashal for you. He said, okay, let's play along. What's your mashal? He said, let's say I have to give you a gift. I want to give you a gift. 3 new cars. A Bentley, a Porsche, and a Ferrari. You know what these things are in Baltimore now? I want to give you a brand new Bentley, Porsche, and a Ferrari. He said, do you want them? I said, frankly, not really. I can't drive any of them. I'm a rabbi. I can't be caught in any. He said, but again, please play along. I said, okay, Mike, I'm playing along. I have no idea where you're going with this. He said, but here's the rules. You can only get these cars if you park them in your driveway. If you park them on the street, you don't get the gift. I said, okay. He says, and you tell me, I'm sorry. I have no room in my driveway. Because you have in your driveway a 1994 Chevy, a 1996 Toyota Corolla, and a 1993 beat up on both sides, missing a bumper Honda Accord. You know what those cars are? You know what they are, both. And because of that, you can't take my cars. He says to me, Dad, would that make any sense? I said, obviously not. He said, well, that's what you did this week. I said, what are you talking about? He says, I called you up with something important for you. I was offering you a Ferrari. And you tell me, no, I don't have time because you have to text people back, and because you're busy and you're preoccupied, you have to call people back, because your driveway is full with junk. You don't have time for something important. I said, son, I have 2 things to tell you about this mashal. Number 1, it's chutzpah. I mean, straight up disrespect. Number 2, I love it, and I'm going to use it wherever I go. Because it's so true. How many times do people get together and say, let's go, let's learn an extra half hour every day? Nah, too much going on. Come, get involved in a chesed. Nah, there's too many things happening. Why don't we work on a midah? I wish when I have a clear head, I don't have a clear head. There's so many things in my head. After this, that. Our driveway is full with what? Again, I don't know how society did this. Somehow they convinced us to obsess over sports teams, to obsess over players. We care about the team more than they care. How many times does someone watch a baseball team? Hopefully New York's going to beat you guys. Or a football team. And be like, the next play. They walk off the field like they don't care. They just get paid. And you're a loser who's sitting and spent 8 hours on them. How many times do we download apps on our phone? How they convince us to download app after app after app that we don't even need? How many times are you responding to a chat you don't even want to be on? How many chats are we on that the only reason we're on the chat is because they have that lousy feature? You know that feature that says, Rabbi Haber left the chat? You know that one? That's the only reason we're on the chat. And we're responding and responding and responding. How'd they get us? How did society convince us to buy things and return it and buy things, return? Every Pesach, I ask my wife the same question. I come home for Pesach, come home at night, 3 weeks before Pesach, I see 3 garbage bags outside the house. I tell my wife, honey, what is this? She says, I'm cleaning for Pesach. I said, so what is this? I'm getting rid of the stuff. I said, so then why'd you buy the stuff? We buy it to throw it out and buy it to throw it out. How many times have they gotten people sit and talk, gossip? Have you ever been in a conversation when someone says, she's dating. No, I heard she's not dating. I heard she broke up. No, I heard she's still dating. What are we talking about? When you get the invitation for our wedding, you don't even want to go. So why are we debating and discussing things back and forth? How they get people to watch shows that have no end? I'll give you a real example. I was on a plane a couple of years ago to Chicago. So back then I didn't care where I sit. You could put me anywhere on the plane. Now I care a little bit. So they gave me pretty much the back seat of the plane. If there's 35 rows, I was in row 38. I was the back seat of the plane. Middle seat. So I'm sitting in the seat. I can't believe I'm on this seat. And all of a sudden, someone sits down next to me. The man takes up pretty much a seat and a half. So the whole time I'm like this. He's maybe in his 40s or 50s. The whole flight to Chicago, from JFK to Chicago, I think it's about 2 hours. For the entire 2 hours, this man was crushing candy. He was just playing Candy Crush. The whole 2 hours, like this, like this, like that, like that. And the whole time I just wanted to say one thing. You're an adult. What are you doing? How did they get us to do this? And recently, a week or two ago, I flew to Minneapolis, so now I care where I sit. So pretty much I sat with the pilot in the front. And a from person in his 40s, kippah, tzitzit, the whole thing, sits down next to me, pulls out his phone, and plays Candy Crush. Like, what are you, the man's brother? How have they convinced us to talk about it, to watch it, to play it, to discuss it, to debate it, to buy it, to think about it? How did they do this? You want to make an incredible shift in your life? Get ourselves out of these small little things. They take our hour, they take our day, they take our week, they take our year. It's a powerful pasuk in Mishle. Very good. Pasuk says, Chacham lev, a wise-hearted person, yikach mitzvot, grabs mitzvot, ve'evil, but a fool, sefatayim yilabet, his lips are tired. So I don't understand this pasuk. I understand Chacham lev yikach mitzvot, a wise-hearted person takes a mitzvot. It should say the opposite should be ve'rasha yikach averot. Or Evil yikach averot. What do you mean? Chacham lev yikach mitzvot ve'evil sefatayim yilabet as exhaustive as what does it even mean? Mesudat David in the pasuk explained it so beautifully. He says a Chacham lev, a person with a wise heart, grabs mitzvot, is out there in life acquiring big things. Ve'evil, but a fool, I'll read his words. Aval ha'evil miyageya hu asfatayim levad. He's simply exhausting his lips. Lomar harbeh, to talk a lot. Ve'en osem huma, doesn't do anything. How many people do you know like this? They just talk and they talk. I'm coming, I'm going, I have a meeting, I have to go. I'm busy, someone needs me, someone else needs me. Talking. What are you doing? The Chacham Lev is active in powerful things. The Elul, not a bad guy, he's just a fool. Sefatayim Yilabed, he's just exhausting his lips. I've never met someone who's bored in my life. I don't know anybody that's not busy. Nowhere, not New York, not Baltimore, not anywhere. I don't know anybody not busy. Everybody I know is busy. The difference between productive people and not productive people is not whether you're busy or not. Everybody's busy. The difference between productive people and not productive people is simply, what are you busy with? Are you busy with important things, or are you just talking and talking? How many people spend the whole day or every Shabbat just talking about this election coming up? The election, you know who's going to win? We know who you're voting for. What are you discussing? What are we debating? You know what's voting for her. Nobody that you know is voting for her. So why are we having this conversation? I know it's important, but we know what your vote is, and everybody you know, we know what their vote is. So why are we talking? Oh, he said, she said, who cares? I'll give you another mashal. In Baltimore, do you stay here for the summer or you go somewhere else? That wasn't supposed to be a joke. You stay right here. Right here, okay. Okay, that's because you live in this beautiful town that has such a wonderfulness, and I'm not joking, even just driving in this now, whatever, I took a train, but just coming in the car, you just watch the people, there's a calmness, there's such a beauty in this place, and this town. I hope you appreciate what you have. But I live in the jungle called Brooklyn, and it's crazy over there, so a lot of us leave in the summer, and a lot of us Syrians leave when we go to this place called Deal. You ever heard of Deal? Everyone heard of Deal? Deal is this beautiful place with green grass and trees and an ocean. It's wonderful. Very good. So I grew up my whole life. I really learned in Lakewood Cheder. I learned my whole life, and then I went to Staten Island Yeshiva, then I went to BMG in Lakewood for 10 years. And then I moved to Brooklyn. I used to rent actually in Lakewood for many, many summers. Until a few summers ago, my father, Rabbi Shalom, he passed away 4 months ago. My father became sick, and I pretty much had to take over his shul and Deal in the summer, so I had to rent in Deal. So the rent in Lakewood in the summer, 5-6 years ago at least, was normal. I don't know, maybe $7,000-8,000 for the summer. Rent in Deal, it's a little more. Maybe a little more than a little. So that first summer I had no choice. It was COVID. I had to rent the Deal. We rented a house in Deal. By the time the summer was over, the house we rented was sold. So now it's the next winter time. My wife says, okay, we have to find another house to rent and deal. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. She's like, okay, I'll call a real estate agent. Calls a real estate agent. The agent sends a bunch of pictures of a house. Shows it to my wife shows it to me, and I said, okay, it looks fine, let's do it. The agent said, no, I think you should see it. I said, nah, it's fine, I don't have time to drive from Brooklyn to Deal in the middle of the winter, it's fine. She said, no, I think you should see it. I said, okay, I'll see it. So we drove to Deal to see it. This house was a dump. I mean, it was the teeniest thing you ever saw. I was greeted, instead of people, I was greeted by spiders. There were webs everywhere. And then they said, oh, by the way, there's no furniture either. So you sleep on the floor with the spiders. I said, this is not. I said, we're out of here. So I told the agent, can you find someone else? She said, okay, get this house. I said, that's too far. This house, that's too expensive. This house, that's too small. I said, okay, this is not going to work. We went back to Brooklyn. A few weeks later, we came back to Deal again. And I'm telling you this story to serve as a mashal. It's a true story, but I think it serves as a great mashal. So I came back a second time, and we looked at this house. This one's too far. This one's too small. This one's too expensive. This one, oh, this one's for rent. I think they might be available. As we're leaving Deal, I said, oh, by the way, someone else got it. How do you get your out? Now I have to come back to Deal the third time. Now I'm really exhausted. Look at this house, that house, big, small, tiny, terrible, far. I'm like, wow, this is impossible. I'm leaving Deal. And my wife says, she says to me, Joe, he says, your aunt called. She has a house that's for sale. She found out she's an agent. She has a house for sale. Maybe you want to see it. I'm like, there's no way it's good. There's no way my aunt knows what she's doing. I'm not. She says, Joey, just come see the house. Right before I come to deal that day, I made a little cheshbon. What would rent of the whole year be? If you took rent of the summer, what would it be for a mortgage over the whole year? I walk into this house. I have like no desire at all. I'm exhausted, I'm tired, finished. And again, if you know anything about me, I have a very hard time making decisions. Like if we went out for dinner right now tonight, and we had to order a steak, it would take me 15 minutes. I'd ask the waiter to come over 3 times, tell me your best options, what are your next 3, what are your next ones, with the bone, without the bone, thick, whatever, it'd take forever. The steak would be cold by the time I order. So I walk into this house, and right behind us, another couple walks in to see it. I see the living room, I see the side yard, the trees could be cut, it's overlooking a golf course, I see the master bedroom. In literally 3 minutes, I told my wife, we're buying this house. I told the agent, kick those people out of here, we're buying the house. Literally, it was the quickest decision I ever made in my life. Don't tell my wife that, she might be insulted. It's the quickest decision I ever made in my life. And every time I walk into the house, I have the same thought. Imagine I said yes to that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. If I said yes to all of the different junky houses, I never would have had the space to say yes to the house. It's not incredible, but it's the house that's right for my family. In our life, it's the same thing. If you say yes to a little bit of this nonsense, and an extra 3 chats, and another few purchases, just another pair of shoes, and another discussion about something that doesn't matter, and talk about something that has to do with an election, and then talk about something about a sport, and then watch another show, and you just keep saying yes to every junky house. By the time it's time to talk about something that matters, there's no space in the driveway. When we start our Amidah, we say the words Hakel, Hagadol, Hakibor, Hanorah, and we start with the words Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, and Elokei Yaakov. Why are those the people we start the Amidah with? So the reason I've always heard was that it's our end. We stand before Hashem and say, Hashem, give me everything. Hashem says, who are you for me to give you anything? So my answer is, Hashem, you know my father, you know Abraham, you know Yitzchak, you know Yaakov. And that's my end, to be able to ask for what we ask for. But I saw another explanation that makes this point. You want to know why we started our Amidah with Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov Avinu? Because Abraham Avinu was born into a very small world. Abraham Avinu was born into a world that worships a piece of wood, that worships a stick and a stone. And he somehow was able to have the vision to see so much greater than that. Hashem, I want to be the same thing. I want to see the world like Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov do. I want to see so much bigger than what society is trying to sell me. I want to live a life where I focus on Hakel, Hagadol, Hakibor, Hanorah. I want that to be my world. Society has managed to give us more and take away everything. Give us more cars, more luxuries, more distractions, more fun. And because of that, we would think if we had all of this, we could do so many important things. You would have told people 100 years ago, you're going to be able to order things, they're going to just show up at your house, all kinds of unbelievable things. You could drive a car, you don't have to take a horse and buggy, you don't have to walk. They would have said, wow, I'm going to finish my sechtot, I'm going to do crazy amounts of chesed, I'm going to work on my midot. Imagine if you told them, no, you're going to have all these luxuries, and you're not going to have a second. The Gemara says, "En Adam over avera ela ken nechnas bo ruach shtut." You don't sin unless a little bit of shtut. What does it mean shtut? You don't become a shoter. It means this. It means the only way they get us to sin is they get us a little bit of nonsense. Care about it. Talk about it. Just tonight. Just this game. Just this series. Just this show. Just this outfit. Just this extension. Just this new carpet. Just this new drapes. If you're not sure how effective the marketing industry is, I'm going to bring you one last proof. I think you can agree with me in this proof. It is so obvious that they are so good at what they do. You know what my proof is? I don't know if you've seen it. You saw this new car that they have on the road? It's some kind of combination of a spaceship and a submarine. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a refrigerator on the road. You've seen this car? There's people who bought the car. It is the ugliest car I've ever seen in my life. How did they get people to buy this? Every single time I pass the car, I do the same thing every single time. I lean over to look inside. Who's the guy? They were smart when they made the car. One thing they did smart, they made tinted windows so you can't see him, so he's not embarrassed. I mean, it's a very expensive car. How did they convince anyone? How did anyone go to the lot and say, no, I don't want that car, I want this one? They're so good at what they do. It's the same people that get us to have carpet pieces, remnants in our house for 2 weeks and debate this gray or this gray. The same people that have us going back to the store to buy another one and another one. It's the same people that somehow convince us you need this game and you need to follow this game. And if this team wins, we won. I want to share with you a story that I'm fairly confident you've heard before. If you're like me, you grew up on this story. One of those stories they tell us in Haber in 2nd grade, and 3rd grade, and 4th grade, and 5th. It's one of the legendary, probably top 10 classic stories of our nation. The reason I'm sharing this story with you tonight is because this story haunts me. Here's the story. The Netziv. A couple hundred years ago, the great Netziv of Aloshin. I don't know if he was making a siyum of Shas of the 1000th time or he just finished his Sifarim. A set of Sifarim that he had just written. But he got up and he told the audience, he says, I want to share with you a little story. When I was 8 or 9 years old, I went to Haber. My parents had no money. I wasn't doing well. They paid for a tutor. They scraped together every penny they had. And one day I'm walking by the kitchen. You recall the story, right? You read the story in school? I walked by, yes, no? We got to teach it to the school. He says, I'm walking by the kitchen. I hear my father and mother talking. And my father tells my mother, I don't know. He can't do it. He's not focused. He doesn't learn. He doesn't know how to learn. We can't afford this. It's time we take him out of school. Make him a shoemaker. Or make him an honest shoemaker. Because this is not Kedai anymore. He said they didn't know I was standing behind the kitchen door listening to the whole conversation. And peeking through the little hole in the door, I saw tears on my mother's cheeks. And I said to myself, the pain I'm causing my parents. He says, I ran into the kitchen and I said, Tati and Mami, listen to me, give me one more chance. Give me a chance to try. He said, as it was that moment that got me here today, it's because of that moment that I finished Shas 1,000 times. He said, but you know what I think about all the time? Imagine I became a shoemaker. I would have been a good one. I would have been an honest shoemaker. I would have cut the leather properly. I would have stitched it the right way. I would have been nice to my customers with a smile on my face. If they gave me extra change, I would have given back to them because I would have been honest. And after 120 years, I would have stood before Borei Olam, stood before Kadosh Baruch Hu, stood before the Beti Shamala, the heavenly court, and they would say to me, okay, now tell us, what's this to where's Shas? And I would have said, Shas. They would have said, yeah, where's Shas? And I would have said, no, you got the wrong person. I don't do Shas, I do shoes. I cut leather. I make shoes. They would have said, no, where's your Shas? For the 1000th time. And I would have said, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you got the wrong person. And then they would have said, where's your Sifarim on Gemara? I would have said, I don't know what you mean. Where's your sefarim on Chumash? I really don't understand. I don't know. Betty, I cut leather. That's what I do. I don't know what you're talking about. I read the Chumash, Nayim Mekrabi, Moshe. That's all I do. What do you mean, sefarim? They would have said to me, look, this is what you could have been. That story haunts me. Because I think I'm a pretty good person. But I have no idea if the 120, if I stand before Hashem, is he going to say, Joey Haber, good job? Or is he going to say, Joey Haber, you know how many little things caught your attention? Look what you could have been. And I would have said, what do you mean? I think I did good. He would have said, nice. But nowhere near what you could have done. That's the shift. The shift is from going from thinking and being obsessed and talking about little things. Most of our mistakes come from this conversation, this thought process, to instead thinking about important things. I'll give you one beautiful example. And I want to tell you the truth, it's not even so hard. Sometimes there's people who are going to say, big things. What do you mean, big things? I'm a regular person. Start something small that could lead to big. Learn an extra 20 minutes. Start working on Lashon Hara. Start raising one of your children on a different level. Start rocket science, not impossible. And then you can't imagine how it snowballs. I'll give you an example. This example inspires me very much because it's a woman. And this woman inspires me very much because she is my mother. My mother, if you would go to see her day, here's what her day consists of. She wakes up in the morning and she serves the community from when she wakes up to when she goes to sleep 6 days a week. Non-stop. She teaches brides, one after another. At this point, one at a time. She's taught thousands of them. And they, for free, by the way. She'll teach them 15 lessons, one-on-one. After the whole thing is over, they'll give her like a gift, like maybe like a platter or a spoon. Something. Like, Ma, you have a lot of spoons. She's like, I don't know, Joe, whatever. It's a spoon. And then she's answering questions, and as long as my father, Allah Shalom, was alive, she'd go back to she'd bring the questions to my father. He was a rabbi, didn't answer for said. She'd go back, she'd deal with the issues. She was so consumed, these girls are calling her that are married 10 years after they're married, 15 years after they're married, they're calling her. And then she started to realize some couples get married have fertility issues, so she basically started an organization in the Syrian community for infertility. No, she lives 4 blocks away from me. She's not in my house twice a week playing with the kids on the floor doing the magnetiles. She doesn't have time. But what makes it so inspiring to me is my mother did not go to Yeshiva Elementary School and she did not go to Yeshiva High School. She went to public school. But 40 years ago, she taught one bride, and then another, and then another, and then another, and you can't imagine how quick it snowballs. In fact, I'd like to make this little point. You ready to answer this question? Here we go. If you take this paper and fold it, see how thin it is? Good. If you would fold this paper 50 times, let's say as long as you need it to be, how high would the paper be? That big. This big? That big? That's your vote. This big. Okay, it's a fair vote. Let me tell you what it would be. If you would fold this paper 50 times, you know how wide it would be? From here to the moon. You heard me? From here to the moon. Let me explain to you why. Because if folded once, it's 2 pages. Folded a second time, it's 4 pages. Then it's 8. Then it's 16, then it's 32, then it's 64, then it's 128, then it's 250, let's just work it out, okay? My math's good enough. Then it's 250, then it's 500, then it's 1,000. You're only at 10. 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000, 32,000, 64,000, 128,000, 250,000, 500,000, a million. You're only at 20. Then you're at 2 million, 4 million. By the time you're at 30, you're at 1 billion. By the time you're at 40, you're at 1 trillion. By the time you're at 50, you're at some number kids make up. I don't know, a gazillion. Literally thick enough to go from here to the moon. And if you fold it one more time after that, 51 times, it's from here to the moon and back. What that means is that's how life works. You start with something small that can lead to something big. Look at every great organization. Look at every great yeshiva. Look at every great anything. It started with something that was small, with someone who had the vision to enable it. Doesn't mean some grand vision that he was a prophet could see the future. Just said, I'll build it and I'll build it and I'll build it until it becomes something that can affect so many more people than I imagined when I began. Al Ken Yomru HaMoshlim. The rulers. Don't look at yourself as some little person in a little fight where you get Zara. As if you're some small person fighting about a small struggle. You're a Moshe, you're a ruler, you're great. You have incredible potential. Go Cheshbon, go and calculate your life. When you calculate your life, here's how it works. When you want to do big things, there's a hefsed to the mitzvah. There's a loss in doing a mitzvah. When you do a mitzvah, you're not going to have time for the nonsense. There's going to be something going on, something people are talking about, you're not going to hear. There's going to be some game you didn't know what happened. There's some show you didn't have time to see. Some item you never bothered to purchase. Because you were busy with big things. So when you look at a mitzvah, before you think about the schar, acknowledge the hefsed that you have to be comfortable with a loss if you're going to do great things. And you also need to know, if you're going to do an averah, if you're going to let go of an averah, if you're going to let go of an averah, you're going to let go of some schar. You're going to let go of some joy. Because to tell you the truth, it's fun to talk lashon hara. It is. People lean in. What happened? What happened? What did he say? He did that? There's something fun about that. If you want to be great, you're going to let go of that schar. So when you're making the cheshbon of the greatness of your life, you have to be willing to acknowledge that there's a loss in doing great things. And you're letting go of a gain if you're avoiding bad things. If you do this, not just your world to come will be great. Your life in this world will be great. Tell you the honest truth. My mother, mashallah, has 9 kids. Every single one of them are in awe of her. What if she's not in our house playing on the floor with kids? You know why? Because everywhere we go, your mother, she saved my life. She saved my marriage. Your mother, she had to care of my daughter. Your mother, Rabbi, when I was going through the biggest crisis, she was there. Ha'olam hazeh is better. Because she's doing big things. I ask you a question. When you put your head on the pillow and the day is done, do you want to look back at your day and say, what did I do today? Do you want to look back at your week? Look back at your month? Better yet, look back at your decade and say, what I really accomplished? Or do you want to look back and say, wow, look what I've done. You could avoid so much of what we do wrong if you try to engage in great things. We're distracted when we're davening because we have some device in our pocket. We have no time to learn because our driveway is full of junk. We have no time for an important chesed because our brain is swirling with some combination of it all. I'd like to conclude with a story I shared a few weeks ago. One of my weekly Wednesday shiurim. Maybe some of you might have heard it. I'm sharing with you because I had a tiny add-on to the story. There was a man who lived in Israel. He was a professor, Chiloni Legamri, completely irreligious. He grew up in a kibbutz, nothing to do with religion at all. And one day he started learning a little Gemara, little Chumash, little Halacha. Next thing you know, he started keeping a little bit of Shabbat and a little bit of Kashrut and Tefillin. And before you know it, so is his wife and so is his kids. Next thing you know, his whole family are B'nai Torah. No one had the guts to ask him why. A couple of years later, someone came up to him and said, "Sir, how did it happen? You were Chiloni, you grew up in a kibbutz. You knew nothing, you came from nothing. How did you also become a family of Torah?" He says, "I'll tell you the story. I was driving one day to Tel Aviv and I stopped at a red light. My car stopped at a red light. So the person who's asking the story knows what he's going to say next. Some terrorists jumped out from behind the bushes and they had hand grenades, they had machine guns, they had pagers, whatever, they had crazy things. And they avoided him and he lived. And that's why he wants to thank Hashem and became religious." He said, no. Nothing crazy happened. I just sat there at the red light. He says, but this time when I was at the red light, instead of spacing out, I was staring at the car in front of me and I saw a bumper sticker. This 3-line bumper sticker changed my life. The bumper sticker read, "Hadoeg l'shana." Someone who's worried about his year, Yizrach ita, plant wheat. Because if you plant wheat, you produce bread that you can eat for the year. Hadoeg l'shanim, if you're worried for years, Yitamata, plant a tree that will produce fruit that you can pick year over year over year. The third line was this. Hadoeg l'dorot, someone who's worried about generations, Yechanech et banav, guide your children. He says, I stopped in my tracks. I said, 1 second. I know what this bumper sticker means because I grew up on a kibbutz. So I know what it means to be Yizrach ita. You plant the wheat, then you harvest it, you grind it, you turn it into flour, you turn it into bread, you eat it all year. I know the feeling. And I also know what it's like to plant a tree and pick the fruits, take the berries, pick the fruits, the apples, the oranges, the pears every single year. He said, but doeg l'dorot, I never even thought of that. He says, what am I doing for my children? What am I doing for generations? At the end of the day, I give them a few dollars. What am I doing for eternity? He said, right there, at the red light on the way to Tel Aviv, I changed my life. I said, I need to learn a little more about what it means to be a Jew. Rabbotai, that's what it means. To have an eye-opening where you say, let me start something small that's big. Let me do something that could change my eternity. How much time are you focused on what? Are you challenging your children? Are you challenging the next generation? Are you pushing yourself for another step that could inspire your family to an even another step that can make your grandson a Rosh Hashiva? But you have to start. You have to think that way. So I shared this story. I told you, went online 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and someone afterwards sent me a little follow-up story. Just a little thought. And I'll conclude with this. And thank you very much for your attention. And I feel bad, some people might want to shake hands afterwards. I'm not really going to have time because I have taking the 9:05 Amtrak and I get lost in your Penn Station. But just rest assured that I am very appreciative of every single person who's here, from upstairs, the corners, to all the way over there, to the men, to the women. So thank you very much, of every age, the young people, to the older people. No one's older here, but you get what I'm saying. Thank you very much for being here tonight. This man sent me a text message. He says, I knew a woman who was completely irreligious and became frum. And I asked her what it was. And here's what she told me. So she told me she knew Rav Lau. Rav Lau was the former chief rabbi of Israel. He was a well-known Holocaust survivor. She says, Rav Lau used to say that people came over to him all the time because people knew him. People knew he was a famous Holocaust survivor. Did you know my father? Did you know my grandfather? Did you know my mother? Did you know my grandmother? She says, and Rav Lau's answer was this. I don't care who your grandfather was, I don't care who your father was, I don't care who your mother was, I don't care who your grandmother was. What I care about is who your grandchildren will be. How many people talk about the past? If you're talking about the past to enrich the future, then that's incredible. But if you're talking about the past to simply live in it, it's another small distraction that we have in our life. Hashem says every year, I challenge you, I give you the gift of Rosh Hashanah. The gift of Rosh Hashanah is to stand before me as I am king. Because you need to view yourself as a man or a woman or a boy or a girl worthy of serving that king. You're not a little person in a small little a gunfight. You're a Moshe, you're a ruler. If you want to be a ruler, you have to choose a derech that's wide and great. You need to ignore the media and the social media, the marketing and the gossipers and the distractors. You need to sometimes ignore the materialism, ignore it all. You have to be able to clear out your driveway for cars that are worth your time. You have to be able to say no to so many houses so that you can say yes to only the things that are worthy of a chacham lev. Only the things that are worthy for a heart as wise as yours. For a heart of someone who's the descendant of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You don't have time for ruach shtut. You don't have time for nonsense. Because you're not a person who just doeg l'daka. You're not doeg for a minute or an hour. You're not even doeg l'shana or l'shanim. You're doeg l'dorot. You're worried so much bigger than that. You're starting to fold the paper. Maybe in your lifetime you'll fold it 10 times. But your child will fold it another 10. And the next child will fold it another 10. And you have no idea how far it can reach. How great it is. Some of us have such an unbelievably gifted life because of a small decision our grandparent made or our parent made. Be that parent. Be that grandparent. Don't make a little path in the forest. Choose a path. Choose a journey as large and as vast as the sea. Thank you.